Here's Pecos Bill as retold and illustrated by Steven Kellogg. Oh, and all these bears. You think they're there to make them happy and say hello? Let's see what's happening. Woo! Wagons. Going on a long trek. Let's find out how far they're going. All right, story from the Old West. Time to sound like somebody from the Old West. Back in the rugged pioneer days when Pecos Bill was a baby, his kinfolk decided that New England was becoming entirely too crowded, so they piled into covered wagons and they headed west. The clan considered settling in East Texas until Bill's ma noticed a homesteader putting up a shack only 50 miles away. "Another crowded neighborhood," she grumbled. "Let's push on." So back in the wagons they go. And as they crossed the Pecos River, Bill threw out a fishing line, and when a trout, a big Texas trout, nibbled, Bill was yanked overboard. And there he goes, flying overboard. What's going to happen? He was towed far downstream, and he would have drowned for sure if an old coyote hadn't grabbed him. Ooh. Her family adopted Bill and taught him the ways of wild creatures. And here they are, living like coyotes. By the time Bill had outgrown his britches, he felt like a member of the pack. He loved to romp with his coyote brothers, and as he grew older, he sometimes played with the bighorn sheep. Remember, he outgrew his britches, so he's not wearing much right there. One day, a drifter named Chuck stumbled across Bill while he was taking a nap. He asked Bill what he meant by snoozing in the brush without his trousers. Bill tried to explain that he was a coyote. "Horse feathers," says Chuck. "You're a Texan just like me." So Bill decided to give life as a Texan a try. He borrowed Chuck's extra clothes and he peppered him with questions. "To tell you the truth," said Chuck, "most Texans are flea-bitten outlaws, and the worst of them are the Hell's Gulch Gang. But even they would be okay if they'd become ranchers and herd the longhorns that wander hereabouts." Ranching sounded good to Bill, and he headed for Hell's Gulch, determined to recruit the gang. Here they are. Now, Gulch is like this kind of a canyon-like thing. It goes way over here. Oh, look at this great big rattlesnake. Oh, my goodness. Big rattlesnake. But Bill's plans were interrupted when he was ambushed by a giant rattlesnake. Bill dodged the snake's fangs, and it slapped its coils around him. The snake had squeezed hard, but Bill squeezed harder, and he didn't let up until every drop of poison was out of that reptile, leaving it skinny as a rope and as mild as a goldfish. Then, before Bill could catch his breath, he was tackled by a critter that was part grizzly, part puma, part gorilla, and part tarantula. They wrestled up and down the canyon, and they kicked up quite a dust storm before the monster finally became so dizzy it had to quit. You want to see the monster? There it is right there. You think it looks like a spider? It's got lots of legs and arms. No one had ever tangled with those two varmints and lived to tell the tale. So, when Bill met up with Hell's Gulch gang, they were thunderstruck. Means really surprised. "Who's the boss of this outfit?" Bill asked. "I was," mumbled Gunsmith, "but now you is." Bill told the gang that he was going to turn every last one of them into respectable ranch hands. But the men claimed the Texas cattle were much too ornery to ever put up with ranching. And ornery means like they were really mean and they wouldn't behave. Bill had a sudden inspiration, and he approached a longhorn that was sulking nearby. Oh, looks like it's getting really angry. Just as the bull whirled around to trample him, Bill snagged him with the rattlesnake, and he yanked with all his might. Cattle roping has just been invented. He came up with something new. Bill scared that bull out of his skin with a blood-curdling coyote howl. The embarrassed creature hightailed it off to grow a new coat, while Bill cut the hide into strips and passed them out to the men to use as lassos. There they are. They're practicing the lassoing right there. Here's somebody lassoing one of the cattle right there. Let's see what more these guys learn how to do. Then, cowboys and cattle tangled in a rough and tumble hullabaloo that is remembered to this day as the first Western rodeo. And when it ended, the gang declared that they would be cowboys forever, and they promised to help Bill round up every steer in Texas. And here they are, they're rounding them up. And here's some more rounding up going on over there. Bill needed a horse. I guess he couldn't ride that critter. So he could have something to ride on for the big roundup. Well, says Chuck, there's a wild stallion in that mountain over there that some folks call Lightning. Others think the name Widowmaker suits him better. Ooh. But no matter what you call him, he's the fastest, most beautiful horse in the world. Bill went off in search of Lightning, and as soon as he saw him, Bill knew he had found the horse for him. There's a really nice picture of that horse right there. Bill chased Lightning north all the way to the Arctic Circle and south to the bottom of the Grand Canyon. Finally, he cornered the stallion and jumped onto his back. Lightning exploded from the cannon, leaping and bucking across 3 states. And here they are, riding and riding. Take a look at the bottom. Take a look at the top. Okay. Then Bill began to sing in the language that he had learned from his coyote family. He sang of his admiration for the stallion's strength, and he promised him a lifetime of partnership and devotion. I think that's one of the prettiest pictures in here. Look at him giving that horse a hug right there. Here's another nice one right over there. Now let's read what they say. When Bill was done singing, he offered the horse his freedom, but Lightning chose to follow him forever. With Pecos Bill and Lightning leading them, the cowboys whooped across the state of Texas, rounding up every last steer. But their high spirits collapsed when they were faced with the job of driving that enormous herd back and forth between the summer and the winter ranges. That's where the cattle go to eat. To silence their grumbling, Bill set up the Perpetual Motion Ranch on Pinnacle Peak. That was a long name. Which was so high that the top remained in the winter, while the spring and the autumn turned into summer at the base, which is at the bottom. So it's a really tall ranch. I guess it's like up one of those. Look way up there, perhaps. Look at all the cattle. Maybe that's Pecos Bill right there. I don't know. No, he's not on a white horse, because Pecos Bill would be on Lightning, wouldn't he? Oh, here he is. He's down here at the bottom. Right there by my thumb. A team of prairie dogs helped Bill to fence off the mountains so that the cattle could wander through the seasons unattended. Bill's plan worked fine, except Pinnacle Peak was so steep the steers fell right off whenever there was a breeze. The men had to work harder than ever to carry the cattle back up the hill. Look how steep it is. And the cattle are falling down. All right, let's see what they're going to do right here. He's done something special. Bill solved that problem by inventing steers with very short legs on one side of their body. Even in a windstorm, those cattle could stand securely on the slope as long as they kept their short-legged sides up the hill. So here's the hill, short legs here, longer legs on the bottom of the hill right there. Now the men at Perpetual Motion Ranch had all kinds of free time, and Bill became known as the world's greatest cowboy. But the high point of Bill's career came when Slewfoot Sue passed by on the back of a catfish. Bill was instantly in love, and he hollered a proposal of marriage. There she is on the back of the catfish. Tell it's a catfish because it's got whiskers. And there he is. He sees her. Let's see what he says. Oh, let's see what she says. Sue agreed on 2 conditions. First, Bill had to buy her a wedding dress with a bustle. It's a big part that sticks out on the back. And second, he had to let her ride Lightning to the ceremony. Ooh, I wonder if Lightning will let him do that. The first request was easy. Bill galloped to Dallas, and he brought back the fanciest bustle dress in the city. I'll show you the dress. And this part that sticks on the back, out in the back, that's the bustle right there. Sue's second request was not so simple. Although Slewfoot Sue was a first-rate rider, the moment her bustle touched the saddle, she was blasted skyward. Zoom! She's flying up in the air. Up she goes. Where's she going to come down? Sue soared around the moon. And she began the long descent to Earth. Descent means she's coming down. She landed squarely on her bustle. So I guess it was a nice soft place. But as quick as Bill was, he couldn't get to her before she bounced back up into outer space. There she goes, bouncing back up. Here's Bill. He's trying to catch her, but whoop, up she goes. Sue probably would have sailed back and forth forever if Bill had lassoed a tornado and to help him catch his bouncing bride. The pair of them clung to that careening storm until it blew itself out over California. To Bill's amazement, he and Sue landed on top of his Ma and Pa's wagon. Here they are coming down, and they're coming down to this wagon's right there. Now his family's back together. They've been traveling all this time. Bill couldn't believe that his kinfolk were still searching for a home site. He told them they could spend the rest of their days roaming, but they'd never find a place equal to Texas. Everyone returned to Bill's ranch for a wingding of a family reunion. And today, their descendants are still there, happily herding cattle. And that's the end of that tall tale. Pecos Bill. Hope you liked it.